Pyro Unleashed presents the Finale3D Tip of the Week, sponsored by Finale Fireworks.
All right, here we are, episode 11. This one's going to get deep.
Down the rabbit hole of DMX.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this episode actually for quite a while. I've got quite a few lights. I did some stuff at CobraCon last year. I just picked up 16 more Par Lights and some moving heads and some flame units. So yeah, I don't know. I'm really wanting to dive into it. I think the adding lights as a medium and fireworks as a medium together, they really accent each other well. That being said, you have to know how to use them, and part of getting to know how to use them is designing and setting them up in Finale3D. So yeah, I guess let's kind of dive right into it. Loaded question. How do you set up, or how do you use DMX settings on Finale3D? I think really you start off by needing to know how to put a Finale3D position in. So let's start there.
Yeah, so I'm going to up level just one more level from that. And
most definitely.
What you need, David, you've said you've acquired a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's a few things you need to do DMX in general, right? So you definitely need the equipment. You need a type of special effect, a machine, usually a flame machine or a machine that shoots sparks, or a light or a moving headlight, something like that, a cryojet, something that can be DMX controlled, right?
Yeah.
The other thing you need is something to control it. And so there are pyro firing systems that can control DMX. There are also lighting consoles and all sorts of other types of equipment that can control DMX. The things that do like Christmas light displays, there are all kinds of lighting controllers. What Finale currently supports is pyro firing systems that have DMX functionality. So in the United States, that's Cobra, that's Mongoose, that's Fire One, and there's always more systems coming online that support it. Those are the big three that I can think of at this moment. So if you have one of those systems and it's DMX enabled, like Cobra out of the box isn't DMX enabled, but you can get an upgrade kit for your modules. So if you've got a system that's DMX capable and you've got some DMX equipment, then really all you need at that point is Finale3D, and there's some things you need in Finale3D. But yeah, in terms of that, what you've got when you open a new show in Finale is you've got a series of pyro firing positions.
Right.
You know they're pyro firing positions if you know to recognize them, because they have a different color and shape than DMX fixtures. Is how we differentiate.
Right.
Pyro firing systems are this yellow-orange color, and they're round. If we want a position to be a DMX fixture, we're changing it from being a place that can launch fireworks to being a specific DMX fixture. So we do that by right-clicking on it and going to Configure Position as DMX Fixture. And this loads up this dialog here where I can change the position type from a pyro position to a DMX fixture. The difference between master and slave is just a function of whether I plan to control this fixture independently or plan to control it together with other fixtures of the same kind. Think like modules. If you set a bunch of modules to the same channel number and you fire Q1 on all those modules, they all fire. Yeah. That's sort of like a master-slave relationship where you have a bunch of, it's the same as having a bunch of DMX fixtures on the set to the same channel. For this example, I'm just going to go ahead and choose master, right? Then you're choosing from a list of fixtures. And you have to choose from this list, and the fixture you own has to be in this list. And that's a little different than Pyro, right? Where Pyro, you can put anything in there, and since all you're really doing is igniting an E-match, it doesn't matter if you choose the right cake or the wrong cake or the right comet or the right color or anything. But with DMX, it really matters because these fixtures are controlled by a series of channels, and the channels have functions like igniting a flame, or a safety channel, or turning an oscillating head, or making a light turn on a specific color. They'll have a different channel for red versus blue versus green. And so those are kind of called personalities or configurations that the fixtures have. And they're all different. So you have to have the fixture because the effects for the fixture the effects are mated. They're paired with the fixture, and only those effects can be used with that fixture, and only those effects can be used to control that fixture in real life to make sure that the script ends up having the correct information in it when it comes out of Finale.
Yeah.
So that was a loaded statement, but the point is that you've got to have your fixtures in here. So if you're shopping for fixtures and you want to be able to use it soon, you're going to want to, I hate to treat this as like only buy things that are in Finale, but there is quite a lead time to get new fixtures into Finale at this moment. Over the course of this year, we're spending a lot of time on DMX, and it's going to be possible for for everyone to add their own fixtures, and that backlog to get cleared. But in the short term, we're kind of like in a point where DMX is kind of like it's in the oven and it's not quite fully baked, right? So, and that's because it's kind of a thing of as the firing system manufacturers add more features, then Finale adds more features to support them, and we keep leveling up,
Yep.
So. All right, so let me go ahead. I'm actually going to cancel because what I really want to do is do something more fun and put in a bunch of DMX fixtures all at once. So
yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and change all 9 of these to be like a light. Let's say close up to our show, we're going to replace some ground strobes with some par lights.
Perfect.
We'll go ahead and do all of them together, configure them as DMX fixtures, and we'll say master fixtures, and we'll just choose. The first light we ever owned was a cheap light we bought on Amazon called an Easy Dancing light. So it's just one that comes to mind.
Yep.
DMX has the concept of universes and channel bases. In the world of Cobra, for example, each module is a DMX universe. And then within that universe, you get a number of channels you can use. These are 7-channel lights. I'm just going to let Finale assign the channels automatically. What it's going to do is going to put the first light on channel 1. That light's going to use channel 1 through 7. Let's put the next light on channel 8. That light will use channels 8 through 14, so on and so forth. So I don't have to hand key in the numbers. Now for me. Now notice something that's happening when I'm looking at generic effects here. It's got a ton of fireworks in it. It's got DMX effects as well. It's got 6,600 items. The moment I click on one of these fixtures, I only see 17 items.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
that's because the effects are specific to the fixture, and only these effects can go on this fixture because these
wonderful
contain what's called the DMX patches, or the parameter values that have to go into the script to make this light do the thing you want it to do.
Yep.
So if we want to turn this light on, I'm going to say all of them to make it cool, and we want them all to be red. I'll just say small versus SM is small, LG is large. That just actually means brightness in this case. So if I want them on all full brightness, I just click there and I've added that in. So now it's just point and click, just like with Pyro.
Yeah.
One cool difference though is if you don't like the duration of your brocade crown, you can't make it more. You have to go to But with the light, you get this little bracket here. If I mouse over this little end cap or this little bracket on the lower right, I can drag this and I can change the duration. So that just allows me to keep the lights on longer, or for whatever amount of time I want. In the script window, we have these puzzle piece icons that represent different views or different layouts of the script window. I can click on the middle one here. This is the one for lighting. And this exposes the duration column, which can be handy. So like if you wanted to set these to exactly 1.5 seconds, now, this time when the lights turn on, they'll turn on for red for exactly 1 second. These lights are kind of small. That's why the light's not, super overwhelming. And if we get real close to the fixtures here, you'll see it looks a little bit more impressive, right? So just a par light, something simple, doesn't move, nothing like that, but you have the ability to script it just like it's Pyro. So if you want to make a chase that goes from left to right, you can do that. So I'll just put a quarter second between them, and then they're turning on and turning off, just like they would just like Pyro, basically scripting it just like it's Pyro. So so that's par lights. I think it's cool to show kind of what you get out of something like this. So we've put before we build up the show with more types of fixtures and things, I want to show, the one thing about DMX that's great is the addressing. With Pyro, you got to worry about wire management and all this. With DMX, it's just like choose your firing system and hit go. Nothing else matters because there are no cue numbers.
Yeah.
There are no pin numbers. So it's literally just, as long as you configured the DMX universes and channels correctly, you don't have to worry about all those settings that are always a little bit of an overwhelming in the addressing dialog. So notice here we have 9 of what looks like 9 lines of script here. But if we go ahead and export our script, I think this is a very cool feature of Finale. And you're going to see this when we get into more advanced DMX stuff here. Yeah. But if we go ahead and export this script, for a Pyro, you're expecting, if you put 9 single shot comments in a script, that you're going to get 9 lines of script.
Yep.
That's not the case with DMX.
Yep.
Here's our script. And for each light, we notice we don't have any channel or cues. We're not using any cues on the firing system. We're using the DMX output. And for that first light, we have to turn on the dimmer and we have to turn on the red. And so that information was embedded in that effect. So it's one effect, one event in the Finale3D script, but what comes out into the Cobra script is, in this case, twice that number.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is the simple example. It could be the case down the road when we introduce complex movements for moving heads and things that, and we've already done this here internally at Finale, that one click in Finale is 100 lines of script to produce, like, imagine you wanted to produce like a sweeping motion or like a figure 8 or something with a moving head light.
Yeah.
So Finale is going to have patterns and functions and things built into it. So it's click and drag, and then thousands of lines of script come out. So imagine, creating a Pyro script in Excel. A lot of people can do it, right? You can just say, channel this, cue this. DMX, much harder, much harder. So this is where you can really leverage the user interface that you have in Finale for design.
So with that being said, is there, I guess, and I think I know the answer, is there an area where you can actually physically see the amount of events? Because obviously
there's a limit.
Right, there is a limit. I mean, if you're using Cobra now, it's 20,000 events, right? So
on firmware version 7.2.
On 7.2, correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how is there an easy way to see that without exporting it?
It's a good question. And that's come up, and it's especially come up as we've talked about the fact that we were going from 1 to some, and now we're going from 1 to, oh my God.
Right. Well, so, I experienced that because I had to create multiple universes to create a matrix.
Yeah. So there are limits there are hardware limits in terms of how many fixtures you can connect together. That's just a DMX limitation, not a Cobra limitation. There are limits for the number of channels. There are limits for the number of events. The quick answer to your question, David, is at this moment, there is no widget in Finale that gives you that.
Okay.
I envision that there would be something you could bring. Finale doesn't actually know that at this moment. It's computing that when the script is generated. So I envision there being some kind of thing you could bring up with a quick keystroke or something where it would crunch that number for you.
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually know that yet. And as we get further down, and we implement the ability to fade or ramp DMX values, that becomes even more true where Finale doesn't know in real time. So I think it's really important that you have an easy way to check it, but it's not something that you're going to see like counting on. I don't ever see it. We don't know today how to make it so it counts on the screen the way like the count is here for like the number 9.
Gotcha.
What you'd like to see here is 18 right now.
Right. Yes.
So, unfortunately, we don't know how to pull that off, but we will have a way where you can look it up without having to count in your script.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Cool. So, all right, let's add something more interesting. Just in the interest of time, let's jump right to some flamers, something that moves, right? So adding positions for DMX adding fixtures is the same as adding pyro positions when it comes to the positions. You got to start with positions. So I'm going to go ahead and just say add multiple. I'll add 5 positions. I'm going to just bring these out front so I can see them real well. And then maybe we'll bring them in closer together. So we'll say arrange into a line, and maybe we'll make it just 100 feet. So there's a 100-foot line of positions, and go ahead and lock those down. And again, because they're the yellow-orange circles, you can tell they're pyro positions at this moment versus these, which are lights, DMX fixtures. So I'll go ahead and this time I'll do a master-slave relationship to illustrate that for you. So let's go ahead and right-click on this first guy. And let's configure him as a Pyro or a DMX master fixture. And then let's just choose, how about the Chauvin Circle Flamer? And we'll let Finale automatically assign the universe and channel base for this one. And then what I want to do is see what Finale did, what Finale chose. It's going to choose whatever comes right after the lights. We have 9 lights. The lights use 7 channels. So, we got it's probably on 64, right? So there it is, 64, right? So, so I can look at the position properties to see what universe and what channel base it's on. And so the reason I cared is because I want to make these slaves to that master, which just means they're on the same universe and channel base. So this one was on 164, so we're going to put these on the same one.
Okay.
So we'll go up here, we'll make these slaves. We'll choose the same fixture. And now we need to enter it because we don't want Finale to increment them up. We want them all to be on the same. So this is cool. Notice that you have, instead of the square, you have the square on, as the DOT would say, the square on point. We like to call it diamond. Every time notice what happens when I mouse over one of these slave fixtures. Notice it's highlighting the master fixture over there. That's telling you, hey, dude, you don't need to script on me. I will automatically do my flame thing when you script on the master.
Okay, that's cool.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So you'll get to see the visualization of all of them just by scripting on the master. So I can click on this master, and then because it's a Chauvin Circle Flamer, it switched me to the Chauvin catalog and is showing me the effects for the Circle Flamer, right?
Gotcha. Now, did it auto download that or
no?
Yeah, I didn't think so. I just
so everyone's like, Drew, WTF? So if I didn't have the catalog I needed, Finale would have told me that I needed the Chauvin catalog, and it would have given me instructions to go to File, Catalogs of Effects, which would take me to my account to get the catalog. So no, it did. I added the DMX catalogs, anticipating that you guys would ask me about DMX. I think there are, for the Circle Flamer, there's lots of programs or like macros, or there are different names for them, but there are sequences. They're sort of pre-made things that it can do that are like pre-made programs. But I think one of the coolest things you can do is make your own flame movement and have it do anything you want it to do. So as an example of that, let's go ahead and put in, we have to start with what's called a move in black. So I'm going to come over here. I just choose a timer around 10 seconds, click on my master fixture, and add this move in black effect. Move in black means I have this oscillating flame head, and where do I want it to be when it starts? It's got to move somewhere before the flame turns on, and that's moving in black. Basically, move when you're not shooting flame.
Yeah.
So I'll just set this over here at maybe like -70. Why not? See if we burn the grass. And then a few seconds later, I'll add a move to effect, and then I can set the angle for the move to effect maybe over here at 70. And there you can see I have my move in black and my move to, and they're linked together, right? It draws the duration bar from one to the next, and then boom, you get something like that.
Oh, that's cool.
And once you've got the move to here, the first one, you can link them together. So if I want the flame to, I don't have to do another move in black. If I just want it to go from where it finished to back up, I can just add another move to. And then let's say maybe this time I just want to go to -30. So now it's going to go from there and then back, over to here. Of course, I can make it move slower by increasing that time gap, right? So there I slowed it down. I slowed it down just by dragging the Q marker on the timeline to just widen out the amount of time for the sweep. So yeah, something like that. And so I've got a lot of flame machines here, but the script's going to be pretty simple. There'll be more than the number of events you see here, but I'm not controlling all these flame units independently. So that reduces the amount of script rows. So that's one way you can make your script more efficient if you're running out of resources in your DMX universes. If you don't mind that all the flames are doing the same thing, you can do that. One thing you can do that's pretty cool, let's just get rid of this middle fixture to make this more symmetrical. You're going to see why in a second. Say you want the flames to kind of mirror each other.
I was just getting ready to ask, can you mirror? Yep.
Yeah, so for these two guys over here, I can right-click and go back to configure the DMX fixture, and I can say pan 180. So this is the exact same as you just physically took a fixture and you turned it around.
Right, so you're just going to take that whole flame unit and just literally...
This is just picking it up,
spin it,
and turning it 180, and Finale's going to simulate that now.
So in the field, you have one flame facing the other way, and the other one facing the opposite.
In the field, we have two flame units where we put the Chauvin logo toward the audience, and then we have two other flame units where we put the Chauvin logo facing the backfield.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So that's what's being simulated here, and that's why I deleted the middle position, just so you'd have kind of something that looks symmetrical, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So then it's just as simple as addressing this, and again, it's easy because it's DMX.
Yeah.
And then I can export my script, and I got a warning. It says you're going to shoot flame on some people. You better have a safety channel. So DMX is a horrible protocol in terms of its receptiveness to environmental interference.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in a situation where some kind of, any kind of radio frequency or something causes a flame to go off. So what the manufacturers do is they force another channel to be set to a particular value that's unlikely to happen accidentally. And that's called the safety channel. And Finale handles that by having an effect for it. So here we have what's called a safety channel effect.
Okay.
Add that to the fixture. And you just need to have it, you can see it's the dotted line here. You just need to have it span the time you're going to shoot flames. Now, there are some exceptions to that. Like if you have a sparkular or a spark machine that needs a long preheat time, that's usually built, we often build those into the safety channel. Let's say it needs 15 seconds of preheat. You better make sure to start that safety channel effect 15 seconds before you want sparks to shoot. Otherwise, the spark, it's not going to be ready. So you got to know your gear, and you got to know how Finale's handling that gear. But with this particular, the flame's ready. It's just a matter of you got to have this just, at least you could put it right at exactly the same time. I like to just overlap it a little bit just so I know my safety channel completely covers the flame, the period I want to shoot flames. I readdress the show. Now I can export. I don't get that warning. And let's go ahead and take a look at this script. We'll call this one Cobra 2 so we don't overwrite the other one. And go ahead and pop it open. You'll see what we got. So we didn't do anything with the lights. They're still the same.
Yeah.
So we've still got here our 18 events for the lights. Here's our safety channel for the flames. And we can see we're turning that on for 7-8 seconds. And then we've got the move in black. We're setting, right now we're not using ramp. So we're setting both the angle and the speed. And then these are the angles and the speed to get the fixture to move. Once we get the ramp stuff implemented, this will look different, and it'll look cleaner, and the angles will be more accurate, and the timing will be more accurate. But this is the state of the art for the moment. So.
And then the same way that we can do in Pyro group, can you also group your DMX effects into groups?
Yeah, grouping is just to you absolutely can, because grouping is just something that's helped you stay organized inside Finale. It doesn't affect with very limited exception, it doesn't affect the way the show is addressed or exported. So grouping doesn't have any bearing on what goes into the final Cobra script file, as an example. So yeah,
very good.
So that's kind of like high level overview with DMX. I know that everyone sees this video, they're going to go out and be like, hey, I'm going to go buy myself some moving heads and some flames. It's really cool. And to David's point, when we started this, it is the case that this is a great, hybrid shows are very cool when they're done well. and it's a great thing. It's a great medium, to use David's word, to incorporate into a pyro show. But there are a lot more layers. There are a lot more layers to it. When you have it looks cool to put these lights out there, and then you realize, oh wait, I need power.
Right.
I need or you have to have cables. DMX. There is wireless DMX, but usually DMX, requires you to have cables running from fixture to fixture. And I want everybody to be mindful, like if you buy a moving headlight that's not in Finale right now, now being, May, June of 2025, we're not adding more moving headlights at this moment. So it's probably going to be more like the end of the year before we start adding lights and or make it possible for users to add their own lights. So I just want to set expectations.
Yep. Completely get it. All right.
This is cool. This is fun.
Yeah, this is a lot.
Yeah. I seen some things there that I probably wish I would have known before I scripted the flames and CobraCon. So
yeah.
The way he scripted the Chauvins in there was made
it a little easier.
Yeah, I wish I would have seen this a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Well, Donnie, in your defense, if you use the programs, the pre-made programs for the flame machines, then those are going to work really well right now.
Yeah.
They don't rely on any motor speed calculations or anything.
Yeah.
What I did, where I made my own move to effects, is really cool, but it doesn't work as well as it will. So, it is the case that like the pre-made programs that the manufacturer has built into the machine, they're going to be the most reliable at this moment. So if that's what you did, you probably did the right thing.
That's what I did. I used all the pre-programmed ones. So.
Yeah. So that's good, because with those, you're getting something that matches the sim. When you do these move to effects right now, and this is for anybody who's watching this in the future, this is pre-implementing the ramp function. Yeah. We're trying to guess at the right speed to set the motor to get it to the place you want at the time you want to get there. And what can happen is the flame shuts off before it gets there, or it gets there and the flame's still on and then it shuts off, because there often is no perfect motor speed to accomplish the particular movement that you created. That's all going away. Once we have the ability to change, once Finale leverages the Cobra capability of, in the new firmware 7.2, of changing those DMX values over time, then during a single script event that will be able to oscillate, that changing that one channel value will get that really nice sweep at the exact amount of time that you want. So that's all changing relatively soon, but I think what you did was great for when you did it.
All right.
Well, this wraps up our DMX stuff here.
Let's wrap up DMX. As always, be sure to go to pyrounleashedpodcast.com. Again, buy some merch. We're 1 week closer to PGI and all the other trade shows. And again, it catches every Friday. So we've got about another month's worth of episodes lined up after this. So keep coming and checking us out, getting you guys ready to go for the 4th of July season. So we'll make sure we have all these out before you guys are shooting your shows on the 4th, hopefully. So, but again, guys, stick with us. And in the meantime, go out there and unleash your inner pyro with us.
This has been another episode of Pyro Unleashed. Come back each week for more industry insights, technical tips, and awesome pyro designs. Have fun out there, be safe, and as always, remember to unleash your inner pyro with us.